So I never understand how this market works anymore, because to my mind there always has to be like an organic value to it. You know, you can buy copies of The Boys #1 when they're making a The Boys TV show, but The Boys TV show actually has to be good and exciting for people to conceivably want to buy the back issues. And even then, I feel like, you know, if it's a recent thing, like they're just going to get the graphic novels.
For any occasion, don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation, keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Sometimes, Dal, we meander. We don't really have anything to dive right into. However, I think we just need to jump right out there and just talk about the big news of the day, the week, the month, probably the year.
Okay.
And I assume you know what I'm talking about.
Of course. That's why I'm going to let you go first.
For sure. Anne Boleyn has an EP coming out on July 27th or 29th.
The last Friday of the month, I assume, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. I already forgot what it's called, like Silverthorn or something,
okay.
Silver something. They put out a brand new single today called Circles.
The good news is I think you can add it on all your favorite music services like Spotify and Apple Music.
No, I don't. No, I buy it. Anne Boleyn, I buy.
But I'm just suggesting that if anyone was listening to this conversation, which they are not, and they had access to either Spotify
some
or
sort
Apple
of
Music,
streaming device, yeah,
they could go now and essentially pre-download Anne Boleyn's upcoming EP,
Silver Hawk.
It's the one. It's the one that's grayed out right now. It's the one you're going to want to download.
It's the one that has one song available, Circles.
Sure.
Track 5, apparently.
Okay.
I already pre-ordered the vinyl edition.
Nice.
Which is
for your collection.
Yes, because I have every other album on vinyl.
It's true.
And all those albums, the live versions as well.
Oh yeah.
And so when is this? If this album comes out later this month, when is the vinyl coming out?
August.
May.
Oof, that's a long time.
I mean,
May of 2023, right?
We'll be lucky if it's
sure.
If it's May.
Sure.
And it actually was late April, but I rounded up.
Wow.
People on the boards are already like, no CDs? Are there CDs? God, that's a long time waiting for the vinyl. Like, you guys.
Yeah, right.
There is a pandemic.
It's true.
I had just several weeks ago, actually like early June, David Harper sent around a mid-year questionnaire.
Okay.
Like, hey, how's the first half of the year been? That kind of stuff.
Sure.
And he himself took June off from all of his sketch duties and things.
Okay.
And I started answering his questionnaire. And then I went to Asheville. And while I was in Asheville, my computer rebooted. Mm-hmm. And I had not saved my answers.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. My fault for not saving them.
Yeah.
So then I emailed him and said, hey, man, I lost my answers. When do you need this by? And he said, oh, not until July.
Okay.
I'm like, great. And then I forgot.
Today's July 1st, Patrick.
And then I forgot all about it. And every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, let me like leave it as the first thing on the screen. So when I turn the computer back on or the monitor back on,
good reminder.
I'll see it. And, but then like still like things knocked it off or whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I finished it last night.
Okay. Congrats.
It's not one of my best, but it was all like, how many more questions are there?
Yeah, right.
Did I already talk about this? I don't know. But it was interesting to have done it last night after I had done all of the June numbers and things. Mm-hmm. So the first question was, how's the year been so far? How does it compare to last year? And initially I had written, I'm like, hey, we've been up every single month. We were up the lowest in May. We were only up a couple $100 in May. And that's a little troubling because May of 2021 did not have free comic book day.
Correct.
When May of 2022 did.
Yep.
So we should have been up
thousands of dollars.
A lot.
Yeah.
So we're only up a little bit. But now, June of 2022 is the first month we are down from last year.
Yeah.
Now,
a trivial amount.
Again, it's only a couple $100.
Yeah, it's fractions of a percentage point, so it's not a big deal.
Right. But it's still down.
It is. It's still categorically down.
And they're like, we can justify it by, oh, this book got pushed back and we were counting on it.
Yeah,
or
a signing didn't happen.
You know, so the website sales don't get tabulated until Sunday.
Or sometimes it's just a simple thing of like, oh, if a couple, you know, delinquent subscribers had come in,
sure,
there's the money that you missed.
But also, if you look at like this most recent Wednesday, we were like 30 less customers than an average Wednesday.
Yeah, it was not a very busy Wednesday.
Yeah. So I mean, there's any number of things you can point to and say this or this, but you know, as we like to say, down is down.
Yeah, I mean it's essentially flat.
Yeah, we're not worried about it.
No, we've had in the decade plus we've been open.
How long have we been open? Come on, that doesn't sound right.
We've had months that were crazy down, and I'm not even talking like COVID months. I mean months where it's like, wow, this is like a drop of double-digit percentage points from the year before. And that's troubling.
Yeah, I mentioned that. He'd said, what are you excited for the rest of the year? And I said, I'm not excited for anything. I'm so frazzled. I don't know what's coming out. The things that we're excited for just came out, Public Domain or Clementine or even The Closet.
Do a Powerbomb or whatever.
Yeah, Do a Powerbomb, 8 Billion Genies, those things.
Right.
And like those are the exceptions to whereas we can't get people excited about new titles.
Right.
But anyway, I said, I've never really been optimistic. I was optimistic once. It was mid to late 2016. And then 2017 shit the bed.
Yeah.
And then I've never been optimistic since.
That?
I do.
Remember that year?
I do remember that year.
Or it's like,
vividly.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
Things are going down.
But then, I mean, things rebounded and we had a really good 2019. Too good, unfortunately. They told us it was time to open a second store. And then that was a huge mistake. So, cycles. Like that song you were talking about.
Circles, but I'll give it to you. It's still round.
Sure.
It still connects at either end.
Sure.
So I imagine that will come out in the next week or so on Sketch.com.
Okay.
But it's, there was Publishers Weekly used to do, they still do, annual retailer check-ins.
Okay.
And we were part of it for like 5 years.
Sure.
And this year they gave it to David Harper to do, but they gave him the stores.
Right.
And we were not on it.
Uh-huh.
And just as well, like, I don't know that it benefits David to always talk to the same stores.
No.
Because I honestly think that I'm giving him the same answers, just a different year.
Market doesn't change a whole lot,
Yeah, or our expectations or whatnot. But, man, I got to tell you that, we work with retailers, other retailers.
True.
Not a lot, but we talk to them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we like finding like-minded retailers.
Sure.
But the number of just complaints that are just outright... Did I say complaints or posts?
Complaints.
I meant to say the number of posts. I knew it was wrong. I just didn't realize what it was, how it was wrong. They just complain a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about things that you don't have any control over, or a lot of it is... one of the... I'm all over the place. I'm a little... It was a long day. I'm very tired.
Sure.
But one of the things I kind of hate in life is people asking questions when the answers are easily found. I hate it when customers do it. I hate it when anyone does it.
Sure.
I don't just mean in comics. I mean in life.
Yeah, there's been any number of times where we've worked with somebody and they'll ask a question in an email that if they scroll further down in the email that they're responding to, they'll find the answer.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
And that makes you so angry.
And also just the generic, like, you can Google that question.
Sure.
Like if somebody came up to me and said, what time is it now in Australia? Mm-hmm. Would I know? Yes, I would, thanks to our close friendship with All-Star. But I'd have to do the math in my head. I'd have to say that it's like 9:25 a.m. for them.
Okay.
But...
Same day, the next day, previous day?
The next day.
Okay.
I mean, if it's 9:25 a.m., it's definitely not. They're ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I realized as I was saying it, your question was, are they ahead of us or behind us?
Right.
They're so far ahead of us. Emotionally, spiritually, politically.
Cool.
Women's reproductively.
Great.
All those ways.
All for it.
Insurancely.
Oh, sure.
But like things like that, that's a question you can look up online.
Right.
Someone emailed first thing this morning and said, hey, what do you have available of this product? And I just went to our website, searched it, and then sent her the link.
Uh-huh.
However, when that person came in today to buy those things, and I'm like, yeah, this was in the system, so I could just search. And they said, everything on the store is on the website, so I don't need to bother you with questions anymore. I can just look online.
Correct.
And I said, we are never bothered by someone who is as enthusiastic as you.
Yeah.
But yes, you can.
Yeah, I mean...
And they got it right away.
Yeah, we do it not just to, like, make it less work for us, but, I mean, I'd love for someone to be at home at 10 o'clock at night when we're closed and just be like, I wonder if Challengers has this graphic novel or this D&D book or this pop vinyl or whatever. Like, I'd love to make that available to people, and so we did.
There were, as you saw, a lot of web orders that came in today.
A whole lot.
Most of them are just for Do a Powerbomb, but especially for 8 Billion Genies, and we'll
Correct.
talk about that later. But the ones that I'm like, oh my god, this is great. A Mage Volume 5?
Sunstone hardcover?
Sunstone hardcover? I mean, this is it. All those pop vinyls?
Yeah.
Which were quite a challenge to pack up.
I'm sure. Suicide Squad pop vinyls. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's like, man, this is what we've always wanted. Like, this is what we want the website to be. We don't want it to be people scouring.
We didn't want just the hot books,
Yeah.
you know, for cheap.
I can't even tell you how many times I noticed people showrooming today.
Really?
So much more. I mean, I don't know for a fact that they're
Okay.
showrooming, but like holding it up, taking pictures, looking. One guy was in the back issues for over an hour, and every single book he pulled out, he had to pull out his phone and look at it.
Huh.
Maybe he was checking to see if it was a want list,
Maybe.
but I don't think it was, because normally you just look at me like yes or no. There was a lot more.
Could be wantless, could be looking for values. I mean, some people who buy a bunch of stuff from our back issues are specifically looking for stuff that we're selling for $1.99 that they could sell for $4 or $5 or $6.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's not showrooming, but I consider it the same thing.
I get you. And I wonder if some people who are taking pictures of other stuff, sometimes that's just how people remember what they want to get. That's their shopping list.
I agree with you, but
Not what you saw?
when it looked like they were immediately looking on their phone for other things.
Sure.
And I would point it out to Gina when she was there. I was like, look at that guy. Look
Sure.
what that guy's doing. I love it when people say, oh my god, can I take a photo of your wall or of the store or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, sure, of course. But the number of people that just start taking photos, mainly of product.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I would do the same thing. How many times have you been in Target? Or I've been in Target and be like, hey, Dal, do you need this transformer? Or
Sure. Yeah, you're
you know,
messaging someone to find out if they need a thing that you've seen in a store.
Target, it's garbage to do it because their Wi-Fi is terrible.
It's terrible.
But and that's fine. That's the natural order of things. You know, we're not. This isn't 2006 and we're trying to ban cell phone use in the store
Sure,
anymore. Things
sure.
like that. But it definitely
That's why
struck
we didn't
me.
have Wi-Fi for so long.
Yeah, yeah. It
Didn't even think
definitely
about it.
struck me as showrooming.
Sure.
Fine, whatever. But on the other hand, you have a back and forth conversation with a creator like a Dave Baker,
Uh-huh.
who outright says, if I lived in your city, I would shop at your store.
It was very nice.
Like, I even said, I'm like, that's the highest compliment.
Very nice.
That's perfect.
I like him and Nicole. They do good work.
They do. They really do. And we're happy to support the new printing of their book that we've already carried. We'll carry the new one again.
For sure.
And yeah, for sure. The F-Off Squad.
Yes.
I don't know why I didn't swear. I swear all the rest of the time on this podcast.
Yeah, and it is the name of the book, but that's fine.
It is. It's I don't know. I pulled up an old playlist today, and it was just random stuff that used to be on an iPod Nano.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Or iPod.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry, iPod Shuffle.
Still,
The
okay.
little clip-on guy.
Oof, okay.
And at certain points, like Childish Gambino comes up, I'm like, meh, it's just us in the store. It's fine.
Yeah,
I'm not going to skip unless somebody comes in.
sure.
This is a rare episode, Dal, where I have pre-notes.
Cool.
Like I don't mean, like, there's nothing on the board.
Right.
But the notebook in which I take my notes in, which, by the way, I think I have to retire this in just a couple of weeks because we're just about at the end. And I don't know if it's
Good
worth...
time to end the podcast.
Right? I don't know if it's worth doing a contest. I don't know if anybody would want this. But it is like episode notes from like the early 400s.
Does it at least have like 8 more pages to really round out?
Yeah.
numbers? Perfect.
That's why I said soon.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah.
I just meant like we're coming up on a
Right.
round number.
No, I know. That's up there on the board. So I think the first story we'll tell is I don't know if you'd say shoplifter or not.
Oh, only technically.
Yeah. So Wednesday morning, we usually have people waiting out front to get in on Wednesdays because, it's a hip happening, not hip happening
Nope.
place to be on Wednesdays. And there's a couple of people in line waiting in front, and then a woman comes up and just starts pulling on the door, and it's locked, of course.
Of course. Those
And
people
then
are waiting.
they step to the other side where people aren't waiting and start smoking.
Uh-huh.
And then you go to open the door, and I guess, like, did she try to come in right away?
Well, no. So I open the door, and she's sort of milling about, and I say, was there anything we could help you with? Because she wasn't in line to get in.
Yeah.
And she goes, I want to see what's in there. Okay, well, you can't smoke in the store.
Because she was smoking.
Because she was smoking. She had a lit cigarette. She was smoking it. And she said, okay. And then she sort of like, I'm like, can you, if you're going to smoke, can you please step away from the front door? Because the smoke's coming in. So she steps to the side, and it's like she steps like 2 feet to the side.
Yeah.
It's like, could you, a little bit? And then, but at that point, I'm letting people in.
Any observations about, I can't think of the right word. Perhaps they were on something?
Chemically altered?
Yeah, altered was what I couldn't think of.
I don't know, maybe. They definitely didn't seem like they were 100% cognizant of what was happening for one reason or another, which I was a little worried about, and you were very worried about, and rightly so.
You know, it's funny, unrelated, we were reading an internet article, not BuzzFeed, but like BuzzFeed, of just horrible text pickup lines that women have to endure.
Sure.
And I'm surprised one wasn't, I want to see what's in there.
Terrible.
It's totally terrible.
Terrible.
So, excuse me, they come in and just head right toward the back, like where
everyone
else goes, right?
Sure.
And I'm like, nah, this ain't right. So I go out to adjust things over by the tape station in the drama section.
Yep.
And I watch her walk up to the local artist section, take the shelf that's closest to her hands and just take everything off of it in their hands and turn and go to leave the store.
Right.
And I immediately follow her just in case she like goes to Sidekicks or something else.
Sure.
At the same time, somebody's opened the door to come in, which was great because he wound up holding the door for the whole incident.
Right.
So she steps out. I hear Molly Jane yell, "Hey!" But she's wearing a backpack, and I'm right there. So I just reach out and grab her backpack, pull her back toward me, reach around front, grab all the books out of her hands, and then just push her out.
Yeah, you had said something. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was like, nope. Like, it was a very quick, like...
A rebuttal. Like a smackdown.
Whatever you think is happening is not happening.
Yeah.
We'll take those back.
It might have just been, nope.
Yeah.
Just turn around and thank the guy for holding the door.
Yeah.
And then she just went on her way.
Yeah.
And, like, literally, she didn't know what she was stealing.
It didn't
She
seem
wasn't
like it.
stealing those books because she wanted those books. It was just, they were closest to her hands.
She just took a thing, because she did not seem to know where she was.
But it was like, let's just scoop up the shelf.
Yep, okay.
So, yeah, like, you can't really call that a shoplifter because...
Yeah, I mean, again, technically it is.
Yeah.
It was someone who came in, who was taking stuff and was leaving without paying for it. But, yeah, it wasn't the sort of premeditated thing that you would normally see with, like, you know, someone taking Marvel Legends or Yu-Gi-Oh cards or whatever.
There were a lot of people with backpacks or, like, those showrooming people made me always think something was up. And
Sure.
A guy was in Sidekicks, but I was watching everyone on the cameras. No one took anything.
That's great.
Like, even the guy looking at all the pop vinyls, he would, like, take a pop vinyl down, pull up his phone, take a pop vinyl down, pull up his phone. Like that, I think he was just checking his inventory, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, who in this room hasn't bought a pop vinyl they already had before?
No one in this room has not.
Actually, I think I haven't.
That can't be right.
No, I did. I did it, Kokomo Toys this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We both did.
Yeah. What one did I? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So yeah, it happens. You don't.
Sure.
You don't know what you have. I do not have an inventory of pop vinyls on my phone though.
No, me neither. I mean, I only have 5 pop vinyls.
Which is what makes yours more hilarious.
Yeah.
You only have 5 in your
Well, 4 of them are Gwenpools.
Right.
And I bought a duplicate Gwenpool.
That's okay. That sold right away.
Yeah, it did. That was great.
Yeah.
I was happy for it.
Yeah. So I had written down thief, but it's not really,
Thief?
whatever. It was a story.
Sure.
It's rare that we have a shoplifting story that's so much of a non-event.
Yeah.
We're just mentioning it because it happened.
Sure.
I do wonder what Molly Jane's play would have been if I wasn't there.
I think she would have run after her.
Okay. I was just waiting to see what came up after the hay.
Because, she was already moving towards, like, the side counter to go around. So,
Okay.
if you had not been there, she would have gone after her, I think.
But I'm everywhere.
You are. It's true.
I mean, I'm here. That counts for something, right?
It does.
Right? It does. It really does. Oh, man, it turns out that all right, so I wrote down Thief. We talked about it.
Thief.
I also wrote down June sales, but we kind of already talked about it. It also says minus 30. Oh, Wednesday. That means there was 30 people less than normal. That's what that means.
Yeah.
And then it says D. Harper, which we already talked about as well. All I can tell you is that whenever I have a page full of topics, we blow through them.
It's true. Well, a bunch of them overlap. Like the David Harper thing is the June thing, so, you know.
This is a very brief update on what is happening with the stolen collection. Mm-hmm. Nothing is the answer.
What a surprise.
Moving on. No, I literally got a call last night around 9:30, and again, I'm like, I'm not going to answer this. It's 9:30. Wait, I'm like, it's 9:30. It might be something. It was the detective assigned to the case who just was calling to tell me that there are no updates, but he knew that it was a holiday weekend, and he didn't want me to not hear from him for that period of time. So he wanted to check in, even though I haven't heard from him for about 2 weeks.
Sure.
And he said, you know, we have subpoenaed the place. We're waiting for the camera footage. Like, okay, but you subpoenaed the last phone call was that you subpoenaed it.
Right.
Yeah, well, we're still waiting for their legal department to get it back to us. I'm like, okay, but the police who were on the scene have said that, you've said that it's not going to help at all. So what? I don't understand why we're just. I mean,
so you get the footage that is worthless, and then what?
Yeah. So literally nothing has occurred with that.
Wow.
And that I can check off detective update, and that maybe filled a minute of time. If I had 60 different topics.
It's true. Maybe next week.
My goodness.
That sounds like a tummy noise.
That sounded like somebody was starting a motorcycle or something.
Oh,
no. This next one is just irony, I guess.
Yeah.
As you know, not you already know this, but as you know, listener, we like to make bookmarks and give them out with graphic novel purchases.
Yeah.
More and more lately, people are like, no, I have enough. I don't want any more. Fine. But over the years, over the last,
I think mostly we use them for like new customers. Especially people who weren't come in for the first time from out of town, or if they say like, oh, this is our first visit, and it's like, well, definitely take a bookmark. Don't forget about us. But, you know, when it's someone who comes in every week or every month, it's like, you can take a bookmark if you need them.
I put them in books all the time.
You can take a bookmark if you need them, but I'm not going to just throw another bookmark at you when you might have a stack of them at home.
So, you know, we like making them, either hiring local artists to do them, or we used a lot of the imagery we got from people who did window art for us back in the day, or art show prints, or even book plates.
Yeah.
Right?
We've reused all that stuff.
A while ago, I want to say spring of 2021, we hired somebody to do a bookmark and paid them. And then, you know, something bad happened, as happens in life always, and it got pushed back. Fine. And then in, was it November? November of last year, hired another person. Mm-hmm. You know, asked them if they'd be interested.
Sure.
The first person I'm talking about, we knew.
Right.
We have a relationship with. Second person, we know of them in a professional capacity, and I was a big fan of the art they were showing up on Instagram.
Sure.
So I'm like, hey, do you want to do a bookmark? They're like, yeah, sure. Right? Paid them as well. And then time passes and nothing happens. And after that point, we had, I think between the first two, we had Max Bear do the really fun monster one that he did for us.
Yeah, it's great.
And we still have a bunch of those left. So he did that to fill the gap, because we were waiting for the other ones to go. And then, so we hired somebody else. And then it's been all this time and nothing. And I don't like being like, hey, we paid you, where's our art? But I'll just be like, hey, I'm checking in, how's everything going?
Right.
You know, as polite as possible. And none of these are time sensitive.
No.
So we're waiting for two. And then I touched base with one of them back in February, and they're like, yeah, I'll get you something later, like soon. And then the other one I got back to in late March, and they said, I'm doing it in April. Mm-hmm. Great. April comes and goes. May comes and goes. We're in the middle of June, and I'm like, I don't want to ask again. I hate having to do that.
Sure.
You know, if it was a sale shirt, I'd be like, you got to get this done.
Yeah, there's a deadline.
But then, our good friend Alex Rosado was in the store, like a not even 2 weeks ago from when this is being recorded. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, hey, Alex, do you want to do a bookmark for us? And he said, yes, I want to. I'll do both sides. And that was a Saturday. He turned it in Tuesday.
And it looks great.
Yeah. And, like, spoiler alert, we already have it. We're giving it out in the store. It came today.
Oh, wow, that was fast.
So we have it. So, of course, since we filled the gap and we don't have the immediate need for a bookmark right now, in the last week, both other artists turned theirs in.
Yep. So now we have a backlog a little bit.
Yeah.
We have a couple ready to go when we need them.
So
which is nice.
One of the artists did the front and back, and the other one just did the front.
Okay.
So I did. I did a different back. Usually the backs are you and I.
Right.
In some capacity.
Sure.
Well, Courtney put you and I on the front. Mm-hmm. It's a 4-panel. It's I don't know if you got to see it.
I've seen a work in progress version of it a while ago.
It's so cute. It's
That's
3
great.
panels of different people reading comics in different formats. Graphic novels, single issues. Like it's a mom and a kid and a dog. It's 2 old folks on a train.
Sure.
It's like 2 friends, and then the 4th panel is you and I selling comics at the end.
That's great.
So we're on the front.
Right.
So on the back, I used all the little circles that Giorgio did for us.
Oh, sure.
Of everybody else.
Sure. That's a good idea.
So for the first time ever,
everybody else is on
everybody else is on it.
Including the giraffe?
Including we needed the giraffe to fill the space because it's an awkward.
Sure.
Yeah. The same problem we have with the horizontal circles, we have vertical.
Yeah.
And they're going to get cut off on the sides. It's going to be.
Okay.
But it's just part of the circles. Who cares?
Sure.
We're trying to cram in a bunch of people in the back.
Yeah, it's true.
So now we have, 2 more in the hopper.
Yeah, it's great.
And we're not in a huge need. And we'll do Courtney's next, especially since I spent all that time on the back.
Of course.
But it's just adorable.
It is.
And then we'll keep Heather's for when we need it.
Sure.
So it's just like typical. We finally get tired of waiting. Just rather than bug people. Oh, and I did finally say to Heather, I'm like, hey, any word?
Yeah.
And there was a miscommunication in her personal files.
Okay.
But fine, it's all fine.
Yeah, it eventually worked out, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, just so fitting. Like, okay, fine, we don't need it now. Here you go. Here's 2 of them.
Yeah, right.
Come on.
Ugh.
Come on. But Alex nailed it.
He did.
And it's the first one where we're on the front and the back.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because he did great illustrations of you and I.
Yeah.
And then he did a little
scene on the front.
a scene, a very active scene with his character Alley Cat. So those are available right now.
Yeah.
Some people even got them in their web orders today.
That's great.
Yep.
Good deal.
The hardest part was breaking down the shipment as it came in and fitting them into our bookmark box.
Oh.
Because we have a dedicated bookmark box under the counter, which has a lot of partitions to be able to fit them exactly right.
Sure.
It's funny how diamond boxes fit, almost exactly, spaced exactly for
the
2-inch bookmarks. Yeah. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
So look for that now. I thought maybe I would use the Alex Rosato bookmark for the episode image, but I don't think I will. I think it's more like you need to go
We'll find
to
out.
the store to get it.
We'll find out.
Yeah, for sure. And so there's 2 more on tap, and I don't know when the next time we'll make them is, but we'd like to have 3. We have 3 designs at the front counter. We've got 2 different left and right bins, where the bookmarks are, so we can easily grab them as people are ringing out. And 2, as we're looking out behind the counter, to our left, there's 1 space that can hold 2 bookmarks, and we usually keep the same bookmark in there but doubled up. The newest one goes there, and to the right, it's like the most recent 2. So what I did was we retired the Leanna Kangas, who, by the way, was the second time through, because Leanna was the first person that did a bookmark for blue, and she put Down Eye with blue shirts and stuff, and then without asking her, I redid it to red once blue was gone. We didn't want to have that bookmark only have had such limited exposure. So we redid it, and it's a woman reading comics with her 2 corgis her two dogs next to her. And that was the one we just were running out of. So we quote-unquote retired that, but what that means is we took the remaining few we had left and moved that to the display rack by the door. So as you are leaving, you can grab a bookmark, and it's a different one from what we have at the counter, but it's an older one. And we are just about out of the Greg Schiegel superhero universe one that he did specifically.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Oh my God.
Could you say that again?
No, Siri. I was not talking to you, but her talking startled me like you wouldn't believe. Goodness gracious. So we're just about to retire the Greg Schiegel one. And we have plenty of Max Bears left, and definitely plenty of Alex Rosados. And we've kind of upped the order. You know, we order like 500 more than we used to each time.
Yeah, of course.
So it is a little longer for us to go through it. So I think I don't like ordering bookmarks this close back to back, but I think we might do the Courtney one.
Okay.
I don't know, in the next month or two.
Sure.
But anyway, that is. I will check off. Already did.
Oops.
I'm still talking, but I checked it
Preemptive,
off.
Look at that.
Man, oh man.
So good at your job.
It's a new month, and it's now time to thank our Patreon supporters, including our annual patrons, Becca Hilburn and Joseph Coco, Bren Helt, Dal's mom Diane Bush, Jose Villagomez, Josh Crowley of Westfield Comics, our bestest wrestling watching pal, Michael Lee, Michael Romanenko, Mike Loveday, our patrons who have created their own tier, Andrew, Drew Troit Comics, Aaliyah, Bridget K. Neville, Chris Burton, Claudine Neville, Christina McChrystal, our other generous patrons from the Say My Name pledge level, Arun Singh, Ben-Hur Benedict Calaguas, Bradley Rader, Braden, Manage Comics Own, Brian Garside, Christopher Haith, President of the Brian Garside Fan Club, Django Boren, Drew Triner and Ashley Edwards, Challengers Reservist, Fallon Mackerline, my brother George Brower, Heidi D., Jacob Sorelli of Kamikaze, Jason Wood from 11 O'Clock Comics, Josh Trigg, Mark Hammond of Aw Yeah Comics, Margie, Keith, Logan, and Malcolm Springham, Marcuson Nasso, Matt Armstrong, Mitchell Davies of All-Star Comics in Melbourne, Australia, Morgan Kaiju Perry, Nick Baldwin, my longtime pal Robert Burns, Ron Payne, Ryan Alcock, Ryan Hecht, Sean Bowers, Tad Eggleston and Johnny Williams, Thomas Nagovin of Century Guild, Walt Grogan. And if you want to hear your name thanked on this very podcast once a month, head over to patreon.com/challengers and pledge at the $5 Say My Name level. And a big thank you to all our other patrons at the various other pledge levels. So on Wednesday,
Yes.
we got a visit from a local comic book creator who had huge news. Huge.
He did.
Huge non-comic news.
Yeah. We got a visit from our good friend Ryan Brown. And
good friend now. Okay.
I think he's a good friend. We've been to his house enough times.
Sure. That he's never come to ours.
No.
Maybe we haven't invited him.
It's true.
Like, specifically.
Well, maybe when we move. He stopped by the store because 8 Billion Genies #2 came out. And he wanted to take a look at the finished product because the initial print run had been printed way too dark. Some stores got them and were asked to destroy them. Some stores like us
Never
received them. Diamond by that point had the run pulled before they were getting packed into boxes.
He had texted me us 2 weeks ago and said, "What are you doing with your dark copies?" And I said, "Nothing. We didn't get them."
They invoiced us, and then the next day they were like, "We're sending you a credit."
Oh, hey, speaking of invoices and things we don't get, you know what we did not get this week?
No.
DC Connect.
Yeah, I think they told us it was going to be at least a couple weeks because of the Flash thing.
This is the couple weeks.
Oh,
This
already?
is the replacement. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago we were supposed to get it.
Was it 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago?
So it's on the invoice for, next week.
This coming week, yeah.
Yeah. It's on the invoice.
Okay.
Not there.
Maybe it's shipping separately.
Maybe.
Or maybe we're just never going to get it, and that's...
Probably.
Fine.
But I mean, at this point, it'll be too late for people to use it
Oh,
to
it's
order things.
useless, yeah. Sorry, everybody. Go to Managed Comics.
Yeah.
Got everything up there. But anyway, so Ryan had stepped in because he wanted to take a look at the 8 Billion Genies 2, the finished edition, because while they did go back to press, they have not had time to send him copies yet, so he doesn't know what it looks like.
Yeah.
So he wanted to make sure that it read correctly and that it was a better version than the last time. And it was, and he was happy about that. And then he said, hey, by the way, there's going to be an announcement today.
Now, without giving anything away, because these are his stories to tell,
Right.
you and I have been privy to some of the negotiations or meetings that Ryan and Charles had with potential distributors, or what would you call it?
I don't know. Studios?
Sure.
I guess studios. Is the way
Production houses that were
not even
interested.
production houses.
Licensors.
Production houses work for studios now.
Yeah.
So studios are more like
Licensors.
and we'll find this out later in the story. But the studio who ended up optioning or making a deal to produce a whole shared universe, I guess, on 8 Billion Genies was a studio, and the production house will be assigned to it or pitch on it or whatever. So. We've known Ryan since he was just a tiny, fresh-faced young boy doing God Hates Astronauts.
24-hour comic books. That's where God Hates Astronauts came from.
And, we've known him for years. We got to know his wife. We got to know, eventually, his children that came out of that union.
We don't really know them. We know of them.
His cat, Simon.
Cat.
We have Simon. But
all this thanks to Chris Burnham, which I always want to point out every time. Yeah. Chris Burnham had said, you guys really need to read this book.
Yeah, and we did, and it was great. The self-published God Hates Astronauts issues. So anyway, we had heard from Ryan over the years.
I had all those, Dal.
Oh, wow.
I had all those.
Oh, no. So we had heard from...
His 24-hour comics, like the original ones, had those.
Okay. So we had heard from Ryan over the years the difficulties that he and Charles had with curse words and the various people that were interested in turning it into a multimedia property. And by comparison,
it was a bidding war.
Well, yeah, every time we would hear from Ryan about 8 Billion Genies, it was way more like, this is the dream. Like, this is creating something that people were so excited about that instead of having to constantly sell yourself to different studios who then would decide on a whim, basically, whether or not they wanted to, fund your art, this was people saying, oh my God, we want to be in the 8 Billion Genies business. And big names, big places.
They're right to, because that book is really good.
It's great. I mean, it's a killer concept. And, as much as in my brain I was like, shared universe on this? Or like a cinematic universe on this? I don't know. But then you're like, well, 8 Billion Genies, right?
Yeah.
There's 8 billion stories you could tell, conceivably. So, yeah, Ryan had said there's going to be an announcement, literally in the next half hour, and it's Amazon Studios. Amazon Studios won the bidding war. Ryan was very happy with the outcome, and certainly Amazon has, plenty of money to make cinematic universes.
Sure.
What with the various superhero things they've done and the upcoming Lord of the Rings series, they don't lack for money to get behind projects that they believe in.
Dal, did you know there was a Lord of the Rings movie?
There were 3 of them, I think. 4 of them.
Keep going.
There were 4 Lord of the Rings movies.
Keep going.
And 3 Hobbit movies.
Go on. Your number's wrong. Because we were playing with a thing today.
Uh-huh.
What was the number 1 movie in box offices on the day you were born?
Uh-huh.
For you?
Uh-huh.
Lord of the Rings.
Sure, the Ralph Bakshi thing, right?
Nope.
What other one?
A live-action Lord of the Rings. I never knew of it either.
There's no way.
Okay.
The number 1 movie, the day in 1978.
Ralph Bakshi did The Hobbit. I don't think he did Lord of the Rings.
I think he was working on Lord of the Rings, but I don't think it ever came out.
On your birthday, he's grabbing his phone right now.
Hey, a live-action Lord of the Rings. That was the number 1 movie in the country in 1978.
Uh-huh. I had an Elvis movie, like Speedway or something like that.
Uh-huh.
You know what Gina got?
No.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. And then we did songs, and I got Mrs. Robinson by Simon and Garfunkel, and Gina got When Doves Cry. I did not do your birthday for that.
Thanks.
Yeah, just look up Lord of the Rings, 1978.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
Wow, there was a Lord... It's an animated movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
The screenshot was an actual, like...
Ralph Bakshi.
Okay. The screenshot was live actors.
November 15th, 1978. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so there you go. Okay.
Okay.
Because I'm like,
Anyway,
I
so
feel like I would have known if there was a live action
Well,
Lord of the
it
Rings
still
movie.
counts as Lord of the Rings movies because it was in the cinemas and it was number
that
one.
That was the 4 I was talking about, though.
Okay.
Like, 1 was the Ralph
I just
Bakshi,
assumed one more of them.
and 3 was the Lord of the
I
Rings.
didn't see all of the Peter Jackson ones.
Sure.
I assumed that they just like broke them into like 7 movies per book
No,
or whatever.
they weren't doing it back then. They actually did 1 movie for each book,
Okay.
and then just kept making the movies longer and longer
Sure.
to accommodate
Okay.
the size of the books. Anyway,
So the 4th one was the one you were talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
So Ryan had said Amazon 8 Billion Genies, and we were, super excited for him, and, told him that he had, earned this success. He's been working comics for a long time. He's had a lot of great books, and this one deserves it.
And he's got a lot of high concepts, easy to pitch fun things.
So we were very happy for him, and he had to go. And then almost immediately, we started to see some movement on our website.
So we had 3 different covers for the normal number 1. The Ryan Brown cover, the Steve Seeley, Jenny Frison cover, and the Declan Shalvey cover. Not counting this week the fact that number 2 came out with Ryan Brown A cover and James Herron, was it?
Yeah,
For the
no,
main cover?
Andrew McLean.
Okay. I was going to guess Andrew McLean if it wasn't James
Sure.
Herron because
And
they're the same person in my head.
And we also had some of the incentive covers for issue 1. We had
The 1 in 50
the
Simon
cover. We had, I
the-
think we
the-
still had the Wishmaster cover.
We still do, yeah.
And I don't know if there was a 1 in 25, but I feel like there might have been. Anyway, so we had those as well. And we also had our Vaniversary variant.
Yeah, which was a shared exclusive. We did it for their stories. We've talked about it before,
Yep.
and it's got the Challenger's name on the back.
Yep.
And all of ours are signed by Ryan Brown.
Yes. Blue marker on the cover.
All of Third Eyes, out in Maryland,
Mm-hmm.
they're signed by Ryan and Charles.
Yep, because Ryan and Charles were there
Yeah.
for signing.
And I don't know that I meant to ask him about that signing.
I'm sure it went
I'm sure
great.
it went great. And then the other 3 stores as well.
Yeah.
So immediately, these books start flying, and it's so predictable, but also sad.
Yeah, I mean, I always want it to be something where people are like,
I want to read that
oh
book.
my god, I had no idea. This concept sounds great. Sell me an 8 Billion Genies. But it's not. It's people getting 3 and 4 and 5 copies of every cover. People who've never shopped with us before. People who don't live anywhere near us. Who just found copies online and are buying them as cheaply as they can because they're going to flip them.
Do you think, and this is not in any way casting aspirations on the book at all because I love the book.
Yeah.
Do you think a book like 8 Billion Genies will hold value and then be worth more when a movie, TV show, animated series comes out?
So I never understand how this market works anymore because to my mind there always has to be like an organic value to it. You can buy copies of The Boys #1 when they're making The Boys TV show, but The Boys TV show actually has to be good and exciting for people to conceivably want to buy the back issues. And even then, I feel like, if it's a recent thing, like they're just going to get the graphic novels. Like, I don't know if Sandman back issues are going to skyrocket because of the Netflix series.
Yeah.
Because people who are interested will just buy the Sandman collections. They're not hard to find. The stuff that always seems to like escalate in value in my mind is where it's like superhero first appearances and things like that. Like the first Jane Foster Thor is probably really expensive right now because it was the first appearance of a character that's going to be in the new movie that's coming out next week. But you look at like Walking Dead, and that shows that it can. Like if it becomes a super huge property, even though people could read Walking Dead in $60 compendiums, there's still going to be a demand for the first Walking Dead comic, the first Michonne appearance, the first
you're
whatever.
Right. That's fair.
So 8 Billion Genies, like even though it's an 8-issue series,
Whoa, there's 16 billion potential first appearances.
it's true.
Each person and each genie.
It's true.
My God.
Oh my god.
Stop selling them.
Oh man.
Hoard them.
Bury them in the earth. So immediately we were seeing online sales. Not much in the way of in-store sales, but a lot of online sales.
No.
Mostly the first print cover A, and then eventually as we ran out of that, the first print Jenny and Steve and Declan Shalvey covers. A little bit of the Vaniversary variant, not so many.
Yeah, on the one hand, we're like, hey, we can sell some of these Jenny Frison covers that are signing next week. No, they didn't last at all.
Those are all gone. But, yeah, the surprising thing was at first, like, the Vaniversary variant, which is the scarcest of them, was not seeing a ton of interest online. Like, I think we sold like 1 or 2. It wasn't a big deal. And then that changed very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I had it on my list to bring up was just because of the question I had posed to you about it holding value. And,
Sure. You don't want to talk about the rest of it?
I mean,
That's the comics retail part of it.
Yeah, all right, go ahead.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted to start talking about it, because some of these things were, I don't want to say decisions that were made without me, but decisions that were made, and then, like, I wanted to kind of get your thinking behind some of them.
Well, all right, so part of it is things that happen in retail all the time, but not necessarily at Challengers all the time.
Yeah.
So at the point that we were told the announcement was coming, Molly Jane had said, do you want to mark them up? And you said, no, because the Vaniversary one specifically
Right.
is what we're talking about. And you said, no, because we have, X number
Yeah, we had a
in
lot
the
of
back
we
room.
had a lot of
Yeah.
copies. We'd ordered a
Yeah.
lot of copies to start with, and we had a lot of copies left.
And we're not about marking things up. We don't want to penalize our customers. But ultimately, we know that these people aren't our customers.
Yeah.
They are, because they're buying from us, but they're not our regulars.
Right, so a lot of what we have to
There's
do...
no good faith being earned by selling them at the same price, because the people who are buying them are not buying them in good faith.
Right, so 2 things. So one is, in any instance like this with a collectible, we have to weigh kind of the intentions of the people behind the purchases. Like, if someone comes into the store and they see 8 Billion Genies, I'm just going to be like, well, they want to read 8 Billion Genies. But when someone online, again, who's never shopped with us, is buying 4 and 5 copies of every cover that we've got for cover price, I know they're selling them online. I know that they're going to be flipping them. And
They have so many nieces and nephews down,
Yeah.
you don't even know.
And that's the frustration is, eventually you start to realize, oh, I'm a wholesaler.
Yeah.
Like, you're not even selling them to fans anymore. You are selling them to someone who is reselling them. So when that occurs to me in the process, the longer this goes on, if it's a situation where it's a hot book, we've got 4 or 5 copies on the shelf and they sell out, I'm like, whatever, that's fine. When it's a hot book...
Yeah,
and,
literally, when we know there's a hot book that's like, oh, the apps are telling people to get this book and
Right.
this cover, our theory is just sell them and get rid of them so we don't have to deal with them
Right.
anymore.
When it's...
So we can just say to everybody, nope, you came too late, sorry.
When it's a hot book and we have a lot of copies the first week of sales, we're limiting it to 2 people and two per person. And
No, just this person,
Yeah.
just you two. Oh, you two can buy
Yes.
as many as you want, no one else.
well, the other way, where since people are getting 2 at a time, they last a little longer. But the more people who start buying 2 copies, like if I'm only bringing up this book in 2s,
Yeah.
I start to get real upset, because then it's like everybody is just, they're buying $20 for $4. That's all they're doing. Like, they don't care about the book. They're never going to read it. They're just, every time they buy one, they're buying $16 in profit. And it's like, that makes me feel like I'm not in a business I want to be in, So initially with the 8 Billion Genies sales, what we were seeing was people were getting a few copies each. And we have a bunch of copies of 8 Billion Genies, #1 left, at the time the story is being told. Or the story is set, I guess, not anymore.
Yeah.
Because it was a book we really believed in, and we wanted to get behind it, and we wanted to make sure that, as an 8-issue series, we had copies to last and last and last. So we had a lot of copies of issue 1 when this news came out. So people were buying, 4 and 5 copies. It's just a few people to start with. And Molly Jane's like, do we want to limit this? And I'm like, no, because people had 6 weeks to buy this already. Like,
Oh, shit, her question was limit, not raise?
yeah, it was a limit.
Okay. Because you did look at me funny when I said raise.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, again, if a few people want to buy a few extra copies, we weren't short them. It's fine. But then it really started to take off afterwards. More and more people were buying chunks of them, and as the A cover of issue 1 sold out, the B cover started to sell out. More Vaniversary variants were going out the door, and people were ordering them in higher and higher quantities. So, again, this is the situation where most stores were already selling their Vaniversary variants for substantially more than we were selling ours for.
Substantially more than
We were selling
ours
ours for, what, $5?
Yeah, $4.99.
Yeah, $5. Other stores who had them were selling them for like $15.
Up to 30.
Yeah, up to 30. And
there's just 5 of us. Don't forget, there's just 5 of us.
And we had already seen people on the Facebook forums for retailers just talking about the regular issues.
Like, well, I sold everything I had.
Yeah, already talking about like marking stuff up to like $20 and $30 because that's what it was going for online. And everybody who was buying them was trying to sell them online. I was fine with letting stuff go. It was not a big deal. But what we started to see again was that more copies were going to people who were just flipping them. So the thing in my brain, and it took me a while to get to this during this process, it was Patrick was the first one to say, like, we're raising the price on these because we are way under market value, and the longer we stay under market value, the more of these are going to fly out the door.
And we always know that we have the ability to go back on that when somebody's buying it in store and it's someone that's a regular.
Right. Yeah. If it's...
We don't have to charge them extra.
Yeah.
We can give it to them for what we were selling it before this all happened.
So we went to $6.99, and then I think we went to $12.99, $14.99?
$12.99.
$12.99. And it was a process. It was a evolving process.
I mean, you said it within 1 second apart, but it was...
Yeah.
It was $6.99 Wednesday night,
right?
$12.99 Thursday night.
And the real deciding factor was the point where somebody ordered literally every single copy we had of the Vaniversary variant. We have limits on our storefront for New This Week issues because that's the stuff that is always in demand by speculators.
Yeah.
We have a limit of 2 copies per person. It's automated. You cannot put more than 2 copies of a New This Week item in your cart on our website. It will not let you conclude the transaction. For older books, we generally don't care because by the point that the New This Week period has ended for a title, we only have a few copies left, and no one's looking for it at that point because the speculators have already gotten in and made their money on it. Like, if we have a hot book still left over by the following Wednesday, it was not a hot book. So we've not really run into the problem of having a high volume of copies of something that suddenly become hot outside of the New This Week window. So we really didn't have a function on our website that would keep people from buying more than a few copies. And even for the other issues, no one was ordering more than like 5 copies. I think one person maybe ordered like 10, and it was like...
Well, one person did like 5 of each cover they could get their hands on.
So even like without an automated barrier for people, the greed was still being kept in check.
I mean, I don't know. When you're doing 5 of every cover, that's a little bit...
It's a bit much, but... Again, at the time, that wasn't sapping us of all of our copies. This is somebody who figured out, by apparently just plugging in numbers, what maximum number of copies they could get, what was the total threshold of every copy we had of the Vaniversary variant, and then put that in their cart.
Which we've done to Diamond before, just to see what their stock is on things.
Well, this is someone who paid for it. So they definitely bought them all.
Yeah, fair.
And then a discussion was made behind the scenes on how to deal with this, and the answer was... refund them down to 5 copies.
This discussion was with 2 of the 3 of us only.
Patrick was unavailable at the time, unfortunately, and a decision needed to be made, so it was made. But we refunded down to 5 copies, and then I put a message on the item saying a maximum of 5 copies per person, and then I went into the tool that we use to limit New This Week items and specifically wrote a rule for the Vaniversary variant, so no one could order more than 5 copies. And then that was in conjunction with raising the price so that we were not drastically underselling it. I was going to mention this before, but we sort of changed...
Dovetailed to a different direction.
We steered around it, but the thing that I think about a lot, and it's a thing that I have to remind myself of when these instances occur, because my gut instinct is like, we don't raise our prices on that stuff just because the market is hot. I don't like doing that. I find that the slippery slope of that is you are selling a New This Week book for multiples of cover price because that's what it's going for.
I understand, and I agree with you. This, however, is not New This Week.
Right.
Number 2 is out.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that in reaction
please.
to this. I'm just saying, in general,
yeah.
I've seen stores do that, and we've seen stores lose customers. And like you said, I mean, there's ways around that. You don't have to sell at that price or whatever. But I don't, as a sidebar, like the thing on that is that you have to have somebody saying, do you have a copy that costs less than this? Instead of just looking at the price tag and going, I'm not paying that and walking out the door. You'll never know the people who would have gladly bought it for less if they've been given that offer.
Oh, sure, but I'm and I don't know that this is exactly what you're saying either, but I'm just saying if a regular subscriber brings up a $12.99 version of that book, who's to say you wouldn't just be like...
Oh, no, I absolutely would.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, what about the people... If that's our only copy, like
sure,
some of this is apples and oranges situation. Like when you have a hot book, a New This Week book, we've seen stores mark them all up. You know, I sometimes feel guilty when all we have left is an incentive variant of an issue.
Yeah,
where if someone wants to read that comic, the only thing available to them is a $14.99 comic.
On that occasion, Dal will then take that, $12.99 book or whatever and mark it back down to cover price.
Yeah. Not always, but frequently.
Yeah. If it's our last copy.
So
if it's our last shelf copy.
Right. If all we have left of an issue that people want to read is the incentive variant, then I will make a judgment call and I will mark it down. If I feel like there's an organic audience that is going without because of it. But the thing I think about, and I need to remind myself of in these occurrences, is the Adam Hughes convention sketch story.
Yeah. Where
Adam Hughes would do convention sketches and he kept his price really low because he, wanted to make things affordable for his fans. And what he was finding was that his quote-unquote fans that were buying sketches from him at conventions were then flipping them online directly after the convention for multiples of what he charged them.
Yeah.
So he was basically, I'm going to make up numbers because I don't remember the exact figures, but he was selling someone a sketch for $200 and they were selling it online for $1,000. And it's like, if you're Adam Hughes in that scenario, why aren't you just charging $1,000?
Yeah, I mean,
to clearly an audience, an end audience who's willing to pay that much.
Bill Sienkiewicz had the exact same thing with his sketchbooks that he would sell.
Yeah.
Like, he would sell his sketchbooks for $20 and then immediately see them online for $50. So he's like, fuck it, they're $50 now.
So why should we not, as a store, if a book is selling to people, like, why am I selling a $5 book to someone else who's going to sell it to an end user for $12.99 when I can just sell it to the end user myself for $12.99?
Sure.
Why do I need to fund a middleman there that I did not ask to get involved in this process?
And keep in mind that margins in comic book retail are garbage. And in other aspects of retail, making it $12.99 is their standard markup.
Yeah. I mean,
just not in comics.
Yeah, so...
we could charge $29.99 for this book, and I still wouldn't bat an eye.
Sure.
But we have to draw a line somewhere. And we're really hammering this home because if you shop with us regularly, we don't normally do this.
No, we don't raise prices on things because of the market. But this was a scenario where it was like an exclusive item that we were trying we had funded to create something special for fans of the book and to entice people to try out a new series that we really believed in.
Yeah.
Everything that was selling was not that part of the process. It was people, again, just basically buying $20 for $5. And it was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I would rather myself sell it for $15 then. Like, yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like seeing the kind of like raw avarice of it. Like, that was the part where I just kind of went, okay, why am I trying to be ethical about this? Why am I trying to create ethical lines for myself that the market has already decided are utterly irrelevant? Like, why am I trying to make it easy on someone who's making money on my behalf? Like, at my cost, basically. So, yeah, we raised the price on that Vanity variant. If you shop locally, though, and you want a copy, come in, we'll make a deal.
Well, we may make a deal.
The deal might be $12.99. I didn't say we would charge you a specific price. I said we'll make a deal.
Fair. We'll make a transaction.
Yeah, honestly, though, the people who come in, like, if you're buying other stuff, if you come in at Challengers...
I just don't want to set the precedent of people coming in all the time and seeing, like, a incentive variant and be like,
I'm talking specifically about the anniversary variant, because we have... our financials for that are different than, like, an incentive variant.
Sure.
But yeah, if you want to try 8 Billion Genies and you live locally and you haven't tried it yet and you shop with us, like, you can't... I don't want to say you can just come in and get the anniversary variant and we're going to make you a deal. Because that feels like that's just the loophole that certain disreputable people are looking for and we're taking advantage of all over again.
Yeah.
But I legitimately don't want the price to be a barrier to people locally who want to try the book out. I want to give them the chance to experience that story. I think it's really good. I think it's a great comic.
And I will happily take your name and number for either the collection or the inevitable second print now.
I don't know if they're going to do a second print now.
I mean, why not?
Image doesn't do second prints now.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. I mean, for now.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll take your name for the trade.
Sure.
Happy to do it. That being said, I don't know that you and I could have promoted it any harder. We talked about it on this podcast multiple times. We had Ryan Brown in for a signing.
We did.
I mean, that's usually when we're behind a book.
Yeah. No, when they first started selling off the website, the A, B, and C cover, again, like I told my agent, people had 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't feel like we needed to keep a huge stock on the shelf, even though that's essentially what we ordered them for, because it was like, I don't know how many more copies we're going to sell at this point. The answer was all of them, apparently.
We had somebody call today and ask if we had it, and we're told that we do. And then, I can't believe you have one left. Yeah, we've got a couple more left.
Sure.
It's okay. But yeah, basically my day was spent packing up those.
Sorry.
And doing power bombs. And I'm pretty sure an order just came in while we were recording, but it moved off the screen faster than I saw, but I'm not entirely sure.
Oh.
But maybe it'll surprise me and not be maybe it'll be another Sunstone book, which would be hard to do because we don't have any more in stock.
There was not another order that came in.
Yeah!
It was just managed comic stuff.
I did it. Yeah. Yeah, like, I really hate it when orders come in at like 5:03 or 5:10.
Yeah.
And Gina's like, it doesn't matter, we're closed. I'm like, Gina, I work tomorrow.
Yeah.
If I don't do it now, I'm doing it tomorrow. I'll do it now.
Yeah.
Do it now! Thank you. Thank you very much. Batman 125 is out next week. It is the first Chip Zdarsky. And I remember telling you that I read it and said that, I read the preview and said that like it feels like it's just the start of something. Mm-hmm. The preview's only half the book.
Oh.
Yeah, I only read the first 20 pages. It's an oversized issue.
Oh.
A lot more happens in that book.
That's good.
Yeah, so there's that.
Plan on reading it soon.
Chip Zdarsky's email was so great today.
It was. He's a funny guy.
He is. You should all subscribe to Chip Zdarsky's free Substack email. Mm-hmm. It's very funny. Which is a thing Batman is not.
Not traditionally.
Yeah. Shitman, however. That's pretty
good.
And that only makes sense if you've read Chip's email newsletter. We will have Jenny Frizen at the store this Wednesday, July 6th, signing copies of her DC poster book. And those all came in today. They're all there. We need to still find time to tear off all the shrink wrap for them.
Great.
So that's the thing that has to be done.
Sounds like a Sunday, Monday task.
Yeah, well, there
Probably
you go.
Monday because I don't know if it's going to be super busy all day, with it being 4th of July.
Yeah, you never know.
I think it'll be busy in the early part of the day, but people will be going places in the early afternoon, and so
they need their comics for their cookouts.
By 3 o'clock, it's usually completely dead.
Comics for cookouts. And then the very next Wednesday at the same time, 11 to 1, we have Adam Gorham in signing his Godzilla Rivals book. He's going to have a super fancy exclusive cover that he did for Godzilla fighting good old King Ghidorah.
For G-Fest. That's what I made that up for, right?
That's why he's in town, is for G-Fest, but he's also done so many other books.
Yeah.
We'll have some Magic the Gathering covers he did. He's doing alternate covers for Book of Shadows from Valiant, which won't be out in time.
Okay.
He's doing the Blue Flame right now, which is a series that we were really behind. And he's worked on pretty much everyone.
Yeah, everyone.
And then, if you jump all the way to August, and this is a weird one, this is a Thursday afternoon signing, Thursday, August 4th, from, we're saying 2 o'clock, but it could be 1:30 on.
Yeah.
Like around 2 o'clock, it's Wes Craig.
Wes Craig from Deadly Class.
Wes Craig from Deadly Class and Gravediggers Union and some other stuff. Both he and Adam are Canadian and don't make it to Chicago, rarely ever.
Yeah.
They both have to travel from a different country.
Whole different country.
To get here.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah. Wes Craig is a very talented guy. They both are, really.
They both are.
And they're going to be super nice. You know why? They're Canadian.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They'll say sorry a lot.
And do you think they'll bring us Tim Hortons? Oh, we should ask.
Wow, we
should
definitely
ask.
should.
Yeah.
Well, not Adam, but we'll ask Wes.
Why not Adam?
Adam's coming in July.
Oh, yeah, okay. Good, you're right. We'll definitely ask Wes Craig. I was going to say, we don't need to tell the other one we're asking, but now that makes sense. So, we've got some big names coming up and people we've never had before and people that
very exciting.
Both Adam and Wes reached out to us.
Very nice of them.
We had to beg Jenny to do a signing with us again because she's had enough of us over the years.
Yep.
But, Adam and Wes, they're going to find out how annoying we can be.
Yay!
But hopefully, you'll find out how nice they are, so you'll want to come to both of those. And I know that it seems like a Thursday 2 o'clock signing doesn't seem that doable, but, I mean, our Wednesday 11 o'clock signings do great. So
yeah, what's the difference? If anything, this is a little easier.
Probably.
Later in the day.
And, sure, Wes is going to be at C2E2, but do you want to have to wait through the lines? Like, now you get them, like, uninterrupted?
Yeah, and no admission.
No admission.
You're just
right.
walking at Challengers.
Man. Goodness gracious. So there you have it. We're always looking out for you. We're always trying to do really fun things for you. Not for us.
Not for us. Never
Exclusive
for us.
covers, just for you.
That's true.
Shared exclusive covers, just for you. Marking up prices on exclusive covers, just for you.
Just for you.
This whole podcast, just for you. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.